Life Unrehearsed on CJAD 800. Brought to you by Marco Vendramini of IG Private Wealth Management. MarcoVendramini.com.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Life Unrehearsed. My name is Matt Del Vecchio, specializing in life transitions, downsizing in the senior living industry.
And I'm Corey Sirota, clinical social worker and psychotherapist specializing in grief and loss.
Coming right up on the first half of today's show, imagine having a baby during a pandemic. Well, we're going to be talking to two different moms who recently gave birth and how they're making out during these unreal times. A couple things, Corey. I saw you again on CTV News talking about going back to school and some of the anxiety people are facing, children and mums and dads as well. Great job you did, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a big. I had 5 minutes. I needed 5 hours, to be honest with you. It's a huge issue, and it's going to continue to evolve. I think something that we might even consider talking further on one of our episodes.
Yeah, in fact, we're going to be aiming for the 23rd of August or the 16th, one of the two,
right.
Coming up on this very important topic as we get closer to the school year. We have to give a big shout out again to Dr. Joe, celebrating his 40th anniversary. Congratulations, Dr. Joe, making it as an Aislinn cartoon. You know you've made it big.
That's right. And he's such a great guy. He's and so knowledgeable. So anyways, congratulations, Dr. Joe. Such a pleasure to follow you every Sunday on CJAD. So coming up, second half. Almost everyone now has heard of the N95 mask. It's quite literally protected the lives of millions of healthcare workers and individuals around the world. Well, you're not going to believe this, but we are going to have the inventor of the N95 mask filter, Dr. Peter Chai. He's got a fascinating story, and he's really a very special guy. That's going to be coming up after the 4:30 news.
So excited to have him. He's been featured around the world, many different media outlets, and he's agreed to join us on Life Unrehearsed. That's after the 4:30 news.
So let's get right into today's first half. Alex Charlton gave birth to baby Jake on June 17th, weighing 6 pounds, 11 ounces. Congratulations to Alex and her partner for this beautiful, momentous occasion. However, it's very different right now to be delivering babies in terms of COVID-19. So we're going to talk with Alex. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So first of all, again, congratulations. It's very exciting. We want to ask you, what type of precautions were being done at the hospital when you were admitted?
Because we gave birth at LaSalle Hospital, and the way it works there is you're admitted to your room, and then you have that same room for your entire labor and then post-labor. So that was the same. It wasn't any different because of the pandemic. What was different is that we were confined to our room, so I couldn't walk around during my labor. As my mom and dad always said, that was a big part of their experience, and we were confined to the room. And then we couldn't access a cafeteria or have any food delivered. Other than that, we wore masks, obviously walking in and out, and the nurses and staff all wore masks and gloves when they came into our room. But because it's a hospital, it didn't feel out of place. So to be honest, I think obviously the adrenaline of the whole experience probably played into it, but we didn't feel like we were living this, different experience than what I had expected before the pandemic.
And Alex, again, thank you for coming on the show here, Alex. This is your first baby, correct?
Yeah.
And baby Jake, and congratulations. And so, like it typically is, you're in and out of the hospital very quickly. Now you find yourself with a newborn at home in this world of COVID. So I would imagine, just a challenge in first-time mom and dealing with all those issues. Add the fact into the middle of a pandemic, it must be a little bit different when there are visitors, and you must be a little more cautious than normal.
Yeah, definitely. And it was a big subject of discussion between my partner and I, and then especially with our close family about how we were going to deal with that once the baby arrived. We were super careful in the weeks before my due date because I was really worried that if my husband contracted the virus that I would have to give birth alone, which was not something I wanted to do. And then after the baby arrived, we had agreed to do masks and excessive hand washing for our close family members because it was just kind of unthinkable for us not to have my mom and his mom and my parents involved. And some of the nurses at the hospital told us that that's what they would do if it was their baby. So that kind of comforted us in our decision. And honestly, on the other hand, it's kind of nice not to have a bunch of visitors when you come home.
That's right.
Yeah, so that was the nice part about being able to really pick and choose who and when, and we really kept it to, very select visitors for the first couple of weeks with gloves and hand washing.
Well, that's fair.
Masks and hand washing.
Yeah, no, that's fair. We're talking to Alex Charlton, who gave birth to baby Jake on June 17th. And right in the midst of this pandemic, it's a very different experience. While just having a baby, especially first-time moms, is unique, having a baby during the pandemic adds a whole host of other dimensions. So let's talk about first-time mom issues. How are you doing?
Except for being on, the less sleep I've ever had in my entire life, and probably some hormonal imbalance, as my husband would probably say. It's all worth it, though. I'm totally in love, and more every day if that's even possible. Some days are good, some days are bad, and it all depends on how Jake's feeling. But it's all worth it. So
would you say it is what you thought it would be? It's nothing like you thought it would be?
I'm a big planner, and my mom would say I'm very Cartesian and logical. So I expected it to be the worst time in my life.
Okay.
So it is kind of what I expected. But the highs are higher and the lows are lower, if that makes any sense.
Well, yeah, I used to say that it's the toughest job you'll ever love.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're beyond exhausted, I never thought I could function on so little sleep, but then when I see him, it's all worth it. So, yeah, it's been wonderful and very hard at the same time.
And, it is still so new, about a month and a half, and I'm sure you're going to have to continue those ups and downs. And like you say so rightly, Alex, those highs are as high as they can be. And hopefully you're going to get a little bit more sleep as time goes on. And yeah. Dad, how's Dad doing throughout all this, Alex?
I think he's good. I mean, I'd have to ask him, but I think he's good. He just went back to work this week, actually. He took the first 5 weeks off. So that's been a new adjustment. He's been really great, just supporting me and being there for Jake. So yeah, it's been great. And he's putting up with me, so that's good.
It's like I said, it's a real challenge. Our next guest also knows I do a group at the West Island Women's Center for new mom and baby support. It's a free group. You're welcome to join in September. We're doing it virtually now, but you need the support because I don't care what people say. The reality is something. So yeah. Let me ask you, now that you're getting into some sort of routine, are you being extra cautious when you go out, let's say for groceries or essentials? How are you managing that part of it? For groceries and, being out in the world, I think Jake is an extra reason to be extra careful, to really, do the hand washing in and out of the stores when we get in the car, wearing our masks. I really appreciate now that people are wearing masks everywhere. So he's that extra reason to be a little extra cautious. However, I really do need to go out of the house or I'd go crazy. So he's kind of there in the back of my mind, but he's also the reason why I need to get out, and I want him to be a part of the world. So it's important to me that we still take him out, that, he's still from a young age, and for me also the practice of getting him in and out of the car and in and out of stores. So we're careful, but we're trying to function as normally as we can. And people are super respectful. No one comes close to the stroller. No one has ever tried touching him. People won't lean over him. So I feel safe, going out and then just doing the good measures of, hand cleaning and wearing our masks.
That's Alex talking about her newborn baby, Jake. Alex, thank you so much for coming on and spreading the word, and so happy for you. You are very proud parents, and we want to wish you a lot of sleep in the future and a healthy baby, Jake. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Have a good
Alex.
evening.
And by the way, say hi to your dad for me, okay? He's a pretty good guy.
Will do.
All right,
Thanks,
thanks.
Matt.
Now, coming up, when we return from traffic, you're going to meet another mom whose husband, now this was earlier on, her husband was not allowed in the hospital because it was in the thick of the pandemic. That's going to be coming right up after an update, Deep Traffic Center.
Live Fun Rehearsed on CJAD 800. Brought to you by Marco Vendramini of IG Private Wealth Management. MarcoVendramini.com.
Welcome back to Life Unrehearsed. Was that applause for us,
They're
Matt?
clapping for you, Corey.
I'm Corey Sirota with Matt Delvecchio, and we're talking to, we actually have Meredith Furlong on the line. She's the mother of Emerson Ivy Furlong. Emmy was born on April 3rd, 2020. Due to COVID-19, Meredith's husband, Mike, was not able to be in the room during delivery. As you can imagine, this was very challenging. So we have Meredith on the line right now to talk about the experience. Welcome to the show, Meredith.
Hi, Corey. Thank you so much for having me on.
It's such a pleasure. So let's go back to that time. What was it like before even delivery when you heard that your partner couldn't be in the room with you?
It was really shocking. I felt a lot of emotions, I would say, a lot of, disappointment immediately. I was pretty angry. I was really scared. This was at the beginning of COVID. So things were changing so quickly from day to day during that time. And I was starting to hear stories about women having to deliver by themselves. And in some ways, I was lucky because I had a scheduled C-section. So I knew what day I was going in, and I delivered on a Friday morning. I went in on the Wednesday before, and I spoke to them there, and I said, will my husband be able to be there? And they said, yes. Ooh. And I said, great. And then will he be able to stay afterwards? And they said, yep. And I said, great. And then we showed up on Friday morning, and they prepped me for my surgery, and they said, okay, we're going to take you out to the elevators, and your husband's going to have to wait here. So I had about 20 minutes to realize that I was going to be going in and doing it on my own.
Unbelievable. That's Meredith, who is talking about her experience in the early days of the pandemic where things are changing, and as you just heard, on a daily basis. And I can't possibly imagine having gone through this twice in my life and being at the side of seeing our children born. And now all of a sudden it's Friday morning and you just found out your husband can't join you. I can't imagine the emotions that you're going through, let alone going into a C-section and having a baby. What was going through your mind?
Like I said, I was really scared. My biggest thought was I'm going to not have anyone to advocate for me. Like, I knew if my husband was there and something went wrong, I would have someone advocating. So that was really one of my biggest fears. And then obviously the disappointment that he wasn't going to be there. This is our last child. He wasn't going to be there to see her birth. The crazy things go through your mind, like they give you your baby after you deliver, and then they take her away. And my husband's waiting in a different floor. They wouldn't even let him down onto the floor of the operating room. They took the baby up in the elevator, and he's waiting in a room for what he thinks is his baby to come, which we're pretty sure she's ours. Right. She looks a lot like him, so that's one thing. But it was really scary. And I will say the doctors and the nurses there were wonderful. I did have a nurse hold my hand the whole time, and it was nice. She tried to distract me, though, from the whole situation, and we kind of chit-chatted. It was an odd, very surreal moment where we chit-chatted about my older daughter while I was delivering my newest daughter. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I kind of lost some presence during the birth because of it. Right. It was my birthday. They were actually really kind. They all gathered around me around the operating table and sang happy birthday to me. So they did try and make me feel comfortable while I was there, but it was, obviously having my husband would have been a lot better.
No question about that. I appreciate your honesty. Is Mike around to talk about what it felt like for him not to be there?
I actually had to send him out with my 3-year-old so that I would be able to speak to you without having to go
we appreciate that very much, very much.
But I did ask him, I said, how did you feel about it? And we've talked about it a lot since then. Mm-hmm. And his biggest takeaway was he really is sad that he wasn't there. He would have liked to have been there, obviously, but more so he knew I needed support. And he knew how traumatic childbirth just is in general. and to not be there for me was something that he really struggled with.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. As a dad, too, I certainly feel for him as well, and many dads who weren't able to experience this. Fortunately, he has experienced a childbirth, and we're talking with Meredith and about her husband, Mike, and, of course, beautiful baby Emmy, who was born on April 3rd, right in the heat of the pandemic. Now, the dust is settling, and, you're trying to be able to get everyone together and reunite it as a family. So when did that happen, and what was that like?
So, like the previous, like Alex had said, we were kind of confined in our room for a few days. We came home. I was lucky enough. My mother had come and quarantined with us for a few weeks before. She lives in Ontario, so they had closed the border in between her coming to take care of my older daughter and me delivering. So timing just worked out, and she was smart enough. Thank goodness. Mothers know. She came and was there ahead of time. So after 2 days of being in the hospital and being stuck in this tiny little room, we said, we're ready. Let's go home. So we came home, and it was really sweet. My daughter's 3. My older daughter, she had put on a pretty dress and asked my mom to do her hair in a bow and had nursery music playing when we came in. So she was very excited to meet her little sister. And then for the rest of the family, we actually just introduced them last weekend. We drove out to Ontario and brought our daughter for the first time, and she met her other grandparents and my sisters. So she met her aunts and uncles and cousins for the first time.
4 months later. Way to go.
That's so beautiful. So, I think, how is, I think it's Avery, your older daughter?
Ainsley. Yeah.
Ainsley, I'm sorry. Yeah. Ainsley, how's she handling her little sister now?
It was a lot for her to take, just because daycare had shut down too. So her anxiety was very high, I found. But she's a wonderful older sister. She loves her little sister a lot. We've returned to some normalcy. She's back at daycare now. So I'm getting some one-on-one time with the baby, and when she does see her sister, it's, she's getting her time too. So it's a little bit more normal again, but she's been doing great with it. And I couldn't ask for a better situation, really, for what we had to deal with.
Oh, great. Meredith, we want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your incredible story that Emmy is going to hear about it the rest of her life, I'm sure. So thanks for coming on. Please give regards to Mike for being super dad and all of this. Couldn't have been easy on him, and glad that everyone is now reunited. So
I will. Thank you so much.
All right. Super. Corey, so looking forward to our next guest. Tell everyone what we've got coming up next.
Coming up, as seen on CNN and media outlets around the world, we have the inventor of the N95 mask filter, Dr. Peter Chai. That's coming up after the 4:30 news.